Coming up on this episode of the Preston North End Weekend Warm-Up, we reflect on a successful week for the Whites, we reunite Gary Peters and Ian Bryson back at Deepdale, and the build-up to the trip to Reading starts right here. All that and so much more on the Preston North End Weekend Warm-Up. Hello and a very warm welcome back to the show, and what a difference a week and a half or so makes from, well, that game that we don't like to talk about anymore to two games that we jolly well do. So let's start with last weekend, the visit of Middlesbrough. Michael Carrick's first match in charge didn't start the greatest, but all's well that ends well.
Giles eventually does whip in the cross, it goes all the way through, and Middlesbrough lead inside 8 minutes. Chuba Akpom, the man who won the corner for Middlesbrough, the man to benefit. McCann in the midfield, trying to shift it to get the outlet ball away. He finds Whiteman now with Fernandez in the box. Fernandez back to Woodburn. Woodburn felt there was a hand. The referee, the only man in Deepdale who didn't. Brady will deliver the cross towards the penalty spot, headed away by Howson. McGree jumps underneath the ball. Whiteman puts the pressure back on. There's a nudge in the back. He comes through. Emil Rees crashes it in. And Preston North End are level. Emil Rees' hot streak against Borough continues. And North End hit back much as their play has deserved. It's Preston North End 1, Middlesbrough 1. Giles crosses, looks for Akpom. Wow. 8 yards out on the volley, didn't catch it cleanly. Brown has McCann and Brady in support. He chooses McCann. McCann takes it up towards the edge of the box. It's picked up by Brady. He managed to keep himself onside. It's now with Woodburn from range. Oh, a whisker wide of the target. Howson here sends it in towards that near post region. It's dealt with by North End and comes back to the corner taker Howson. Now he finds McGree, who's found a pocket of space in the box. It falls down now, brought down and nudged goalwards. It was Moniz who got the effort away. McGree, no support in the wide area from Giles coming. Has to look to go it alone, then turns up and faces with his back to goal. Giles eventually is up. His cross, leave it in, and Moniz heads wide of the target. Liam Lindsay felt as though he was fouled. Brady, the man, winding up. Sends it towards the far post, Story's up, heads it across, goal! And it's in, the flag's up though! The flag immediately up! Ledson just looking to lift it in behind them, coming round at the far post, it's sent back across, goal, Story! And Preston North End get it done at the end! Jordan Story showing the desire, the heart, the determination to get the job done, and North End come from behind and look to take the points. It's Preston North End 2, Middlesbrough 1.
Right, let's keep the good news coming then next, because let's keep the good news coming, and Tuesday night at Deepdale, Swansea City were in town on a good run of form as well, with just one defeat in their previous 8 games that had left them in the top 6 until we decided to change things just a little bit, didn't we? And on the half-an-hour mark, Brad Potts got his first goal since August, his 3rd goal of the season, and that was enough to win the game. I say it was enough to win the game, but just before I tell you why I'm pausing there, because look in the corner here, these celebrations, this is where the academy lads are. We think that's Finley Cross Adair celebrating there. If you want to have a look yourself, go onto the YouTube channel, because the short highlights are on there for Preston North End from that game. If you go into iFollow PNE, then you can have a look at the extended highlights and you can work out exactly who that was. Now, it wasn't all about Brad Potts, of course, was it? Because at the other end of the pitch, we had young Freddie Woodman keeping his 11th clean sheet in just 19 championship matches. Absolutely astonishing. And that's who we caught up with after the match.
Yeah, obviously, being a goalkeeper, it's kind of what you're there for and that. So, when you're called upon especially late on like that. It's always nice when it comes off and you manage to get a save away. It's like scoring a last-minute winner like Jordan did last week for me. So yeah, really nice and obviously, delighted to get the clean sheet as well. We went a few games without one, and we were speaking, as a defensive unit in the change room before the game, actually, can we get back to keeping clean sheets? And we've managed to do that tonight against a decent Swansea side, which is good. So yeah, we're happy with 11, but we want to continue building on that, and hopefully going to Reading on Friday we can do the same.
Also on Tuesday night, Gary Peters was back at Deepdale for the first time since lockdown. Our manager in 1996, when North End started that reinvigoration, the Division 3 title, and things seemed to start moving upwards from that point. Gary said it's his favourite club he's ever worked at, so we got his captain from that season as well, Ian Bryson, to join us pitchside for a very special chat. And where else could we start as to Gary's feelings when he walks through the doors at Deepdale?
Lovely. Just always good to be here. It's probably the best club I ever worked with, and best time I ever had in football, I think.
When you come back in through the door, do memories start flooding back in? What were the first things you start to think about, maybe?
About this, when it was the
town end.
Town end.
Yeah.
And when we won the league, standing in front of that, it was just unbelievable.
Bryce, what was it like playing for Gary?
Playing for Gary, it was all right. It was a quick transition really, because John Beck signed me. Things didn't quite work out, and then Gary took over, and he brought one or two extra players in, and we just gelled. It was a fantastic season. The year we won the championship, great bunch of players. And it was just an honour to be his captain, really. And as I say, some of the memories are fantastic. At the end of that season, 3 parties basically: promotion at Leyton Orient, won the championship at Hartlepool, and then obviously the Exeter game here was just out of this world. So,
was that one of the best moments for you, Gary?
Definitely. I think that getting the team together was fairly easy. After working with John beforehand, he brought some decent players in. We added to that, but it was allowing them players to go and play, and they took over. They'd done it, and it was the movement. And I've talked to Bryce earlier. We had 4 midfield players. I couldn't tell you which position any of them played in, because they were so able to move about, and that made it so special. We had 2 goal scorers up front and a really solid back 4, with sort of Moisey and Russ Wilcox as centre halves, and you could pretty well say that was the team nearly every game.
In terms of the football, I know you've both mentioned it there, it was one very distinctive style to another more distinctive style. How difficult was that to change things for you?
Well, I don't think it was. I think the players wanted to play. They had been limited to what they could do, and to give them the power to just go and do it the way they wanted was easy, because I had good players and experienced players, and they took over. They almost created what we were doing by just going out and playing like they played.
yeah, I mean, we had good players, and I think John Beck he was quite a stubborn person. He wanted to play the long ball, and that was it. We got through a spell where it just wasn't working, and he ended up losing his job. And as I say, Gary came in, he's seen what he had, he's seen the ability some of the players had, and they played at other teams. So it was just a matter of getting 1 or 2 extra players in, and the lads went out and played. And he said, we had really good players. The midfield was as good as I played in, with Simon, Lee and Graham Atkinson. So it was just a really good squad, great team spirit. I think that's a big thing. I always say team spirit's as good as anything nowadays. That takes you a long, long way. If you've 11 lads that are going to go out and fight for the jersey, fight for the manager and the fans, you're on a winner, really. So
Found a great way to get the team spirit though. Make them win. And when you're winning all the time, everybody's happy.
Yeah. Just in terms, because I know we need to get back up to the Invincibles lounge shortly, but just in terms of legacies, I don't know whether as
footballers, as managers, you want to be remembered, or you care how you're remembered other than winning, but your legacy probably paid for a lot of the stands in terms of when you bought in players that North End you made better, even players like David Beckham, I spoke to David Moyes earlier, who said he wasn't too sure about bringing him in. It was you that said Beckham was ready to come in.
Yeah, well, definitely. You know, I took him down with me to watch him, and on the way back we weren't arguing, but he didn't think he could go straight into the first team, and you know, I just thought what he was doing was so simple for him, you know, because he was crossing balls and doing things all the time, and I saw him doing that in the reserves at Manchester United. So I thought he would just suit us, and he'd done better than I ever thought he was going to do. And obviously he'd done so well, we only had him for 3 months because Fergie took him back because he was going to put him in the team. So it must have helped him as well.
It's always great to see you back. Sorry, because I know they've got to go and do the team news now shortly. Yeah. But just one very quick one, if I may, just finally. Reading is the next game, of course, on Friday, who you had 2 good spells with as a player.
Well, I had about 8 years at Reading and I had about 8 years here. So, you know, but nothing can compare with this, the time I had here. You know, it was special. I think when you're a player, you're only 1/11th of what goes on. When you're a manager, it's all your fault, or it's all down to you. So it changes the way you work. You know, as a player, you're part of the team. But as a manager, you've got to make sure the team work well together.
I'd like to think that everybody at Preston remembers you fondly and well, and you taught David Moyes everything he knows as well.
Well, yeah, but that might have been better, because when he was assistant manager, I think some of that I learnt off of him as well. You know, and it just worked well together. You know, and it allowed me to make Bryce captain.
Best thing ever done.
I think Moisey thought he should have been the captain as well. But
he wanted everything, but it worked well. We had 11 captains on the pitch. I always say that.
Well,
we had a lot of experience
out
so Agis was the figurehead, but as I say, it was an easy job basically.
Do you want the final word, Gary?
I just love being here.
Now, I know we've just had Halloween, but how about this for Spooky? The visit to Reading is 2 years, exactly to the day, since the last time we won there. 3-0 win, same again please. Let's remind you of all the goals.
Rafferty now finds Sinclair in the box. Sinclair does it past Cabral, and it's in the back of the net. And Scott Sinclair, the man with the goal. Preston North End's away day specialist, doing it once more. And it looks maybe as though Semedo might slot out to the left, and Reading may well be going 4-4-2 here. Emile Rees here running in behind. McIntyre, he's in behind, and Emile Rees scores his first goal for Preston North End. The Dane showing his biting attack, and Preston North End double their advantage. Emile Rees left space to run in behind. Emile Rees holds the ball up, gets it into Johnson, and then puts it into space for Barkhuizen to chase. Potts is wide open on the far side. Barkhuizen into the box, tees it up for Can Preston North End get a treble away at Reading? 3 goals, it'll be 3 points. Brad Potts on the score sheet. It's Reading 0, Preston North End 3.
Okay, let's get back to this week's game now, and let's catch up with our manager Ryan Lowe and our captain Alan Brown.
Yeah, they did have a good start to the season. That just shows what they can do and the type of players they've got. They've got some good players, and I'm sure Paul will leave no stone unturned in trying to get the club to win more games of football. They had a fantastic start, yet they've had a bit of a dip, but that's the Championship. I think they were unlucky last week against Burnley. They possibly should have had a penalty, which they were disappointed in. But again, we've got to worry about what we do. We respect every team we come up against, especially when you're going away from home. They've got some good individuals. They'll be well drilled, well coached, they know that. And we've got to make sure that we do our bit to try and get a positive result.
Like, anytime I've watched them, I don't think they've blown many teams away, but at the same time you can see how threatening they are. So yeah, it will be a tough game, and you know, over the last few years it's been a difficult place for us to go. We found ourselves in the back of a few bad results, but you know, that doesn't make a difference going into the next game. It doesn't decide the outcome. So we'll be going in there full of confidence and full of momentum, and looking to get the 3 points.
Yeah, it does. The confidence always keeps building it. Listen, when you lose games of football in any league, you know, you want to get the next one to put it right. We're on the back of 2 good wins and 2 good performances in different ways, and we've got to make sure we go and do the same again and put on a good performance. I always believe you put on a good performance, you've got every chance of winning games of football. But of course we know there's a team standing in our way that want to get back to winning ways also. What we've got to do is we've got to be full of confidence and go there with a game plan, and hopefully we can take a result.
You know, to be fair, we sat down after the Blackpool game and gave ourselves a target for the next 4 games, because I think it's important to accumulate as many points as we can before the break, and then see where we are after that. So we find ourselves in a good position now, and we want to continue that form, and from the next 2 games just get as many points as we can, whether that's 6 or 4 or 3. You know, considering it's a tally between those 4 games, then it'll be good outcome either way. But we've got to look to win the next 2 games, and that's what we'll be trying to do.
Right, almost at the end of the show. Just to remind you that Reading, if you want to go and you haven't got your tickets, you can get to Reading, well, depending on what time you're watching this, of course, and buy them at the stadium. If not, I follow P&E. You can listen to full match commentary. Guy Clark is joined by Paul Sparrow. And then after that, there's only one more game before the World Cup. Where has the time gone? We're at home to Millwall. It's a swap for the Cop game. So if you've got your ticket, but you fancy sitting on the Bill Shankly, then you can either phone up or do it in person. All the details are online. And that, for now, is that. Safe journey if you're going to Reading. See you at Deepdale next week if you're not. Don't forget you've got iFollow. Keep looking at YouTube. Like, follow and subscribe and turn your notifications on. And come on, you Whites.